So in this video, we're going to be solving a problem, just a simple problem using the scientific method. So we've already learned so much about variables and what a control is and what a controlled experiment is. And we're going to just kind of solve a problem that is typical in middle school or in high school or in jobs or really anywhere. And it is being late. And specifically, our problem is going to be that I am late to school at least twice a week. And so we're going to see if we can solve this problem using the steps of the scientific method. So our second step is to gather information, and we need to gather information about when we wake up, when school starts, how long it takes for us to get to school. And so school starts at 7:45 a.m. and I know that I wake up at 6:45 a.m. So also I timed our drive and we live 20 minutes away. Approximately, that's like the average time it takes. Sometimes it takes a little bit less, sometimes it takes a little bit more. We usually leave the house between 7:25 and 7:30, and sometimes there's even traffic on the way. So after gathering this information, I can form my hypothesis, and I already can see that there's a problem with what time we leave. And so I'm going to form my hypothesis, and my hypothesis is if we leave earlier by 7:15, then we will get to school on time. Okay, you see the thumbs up. Okay, that's good. So my next step is to test the hypothesis by doing an experiment. And so for my experiment, in order to see if my hypothesis is correct, I'm going to make sure that I leave by 7:15, leave my house, so pulling out of the driveway at 7:15 at the latest for 2 weeks, so 10 school days. My constant or my control in this experiment, I want to make sure that we drive the same car and that we drive the same route each day. My independent variable, or the thing that I am changing, I, the scientist, am changing, is the time that I leave the house. So that's earlier, 7:15. And then my dependent variable, what depends on this independent variable, is whether or not I'm on time to school. So pretty much what time I get to school is the dependent variable, whether I'm late or not. So I kind of had to make up my results for this experiment. And so I said that out of the 10 days, I was only late to school one time. The one time I was late, there was an accident on the highway. And so because of that, my hypothesis was correct. And if I leave by 7:15, then I will arrive on time to school. So I solved the problem. And we've talked about how when you analyze data, sometimes you have like a data table. And so this is a bar graph that I drew. This isn't a data table, but I took the data and I put the data that I gathered from my experiment into this bar graph. So you can see that I have a title, okay, that explains what this whole graph is showing. So this graph is showing the time it took to get to school each day. And so for my y-axis here, remember that's the vertical axis, I have the time that's measured in minutes, so 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15, all the way up to 30. And then my x-axis, okay, the title for my x-axis is the days. So day 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 10, because I did my experiment for 10 days. So there's a few questions on your notes sheet that I want you to answer looking at this graph. So go ahead and pause the video and see if you can answer those questions. So the final step in the scientific method is to draw conclusions and report results. This is a really important step because you want to make sure that you just wrap everything up that you've done, all your data, all your results, into a nice conclusion. And so my conclusion is that my hypothesis was correct. If I leave by 7:15 a.m., I get to school on time. I also found that when I left by this time, I had more time to catch up with friends and get to class without being stressed. So those are just some more observations that came from the experiment. And I will report my results to other friends who have the same problem. So that is just one problem that's very simple that can be solved using the scientific method. So what I want you to do now is submit your notes that you just took to Schoology, and then you can find a partner, and you and your partner can decide on a problem that you want to solve, and you're going to solve it the same way that I solved this problem. If you need any help, just raise your hand and I will come and help you or answer any questions that you have.